Hello everyone, you're on to Healthy Options with Maureen. Today we'll be making something very popular back home in Nigeria, especially amongst the Igbos. It's known as the Ukwa or the African breadfruit porridge. The good thing about Ukwa is that it's loaded with potassium, making it heart friendly. It's also very rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Another good thing about Ukwa is that it's low in calories. It is highly recommended for diabetic patients. I'll be using a different method for the recipe I'll be showing today, and that's making Ukwa without potash. Potash is what you actually put in your Ukwa to soften it. I actually found out an easier and a real quick way to make your Ukwa. If you do like this recipe, don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the red button towards the end of the video. Come with me as we make this. I know for sure you will like it. Thank you. So first things first, when you want to make your Ukwa without potash, as you can see here, we have some Ukwa or some breadfruit. This hasn't been cleaned. If you want to eat your Ukwa as lunch, the night before, you soak it in hot water and leave it to soak overnight. So I'll be throwing this into the pot, and tomorrow by God's grace, I will come back and show you how we make the Ukwa. So I'm going to pour the Ukwa into it. So you give it a good stir. Of course, you will leave the pot open. You will let it sit like this till the next morning. I'll come back and clean it up and show you how we'll proceed from here. So it's a brand new morning, and as you can see, I've sieved out the water with which I soaked the Ukwa or the breadfruit in. So that's what we have. You can see it still has some particles of dirt in it. I'm going to take my time now to wash it and sort it out. Then we'll proceed cooking. The soaking has helped to soften it because I can actually break through it with just pinching hard on it with my fingers. So you can see it just breaks apart like that. So that's the advantage of the soaking. So I'm going to show you how I clean up the Ukwa. I already started cleaning. I have some in this bowl that I already cleaned out. So what I do usually is that I pick up a bit of Ukwa with the palms of my hand, and I try to sort out anything in the name of dirt that could be amongst the Ukwa kernels. So that's how I go about it. I sort out, I look for stones, I look for dirt, and I'm able to sort out. Once I'm done, I transfer it into the clean bowl and I will continue. And by the time I'm done, we'll find maybe a bunch of sand at the base. We'll throw that out, then we'll proceed with the cooking. So I'm going to continue with this, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like by the time I'm done. So as you can see, I just finished washing the Ukwa. You can see the difference between when washed and when it hadn't been washed. I covered it with some water and I'm going to proceed cooking. It's necessary you note that unless you want the water for the Ukwa, don't put in so much water after you have soaked overnight. You can always top on some water, or you can always add on some water if it hasn't softened to your desired texture by the time you're ready to cook. It's enough to add just a little bit of water because it has started softening through the night. So I will cover this and I will bring to the boil. It will stay covered, or it will be slightly ajar so that it can stop the water from spilling into the fire. So I'm going to proceed cooking now. While I prepare the ingredients, I'll be adding into it by the time it's softened. So after about an hour, 10 minutes of boiling it, you can see how it looks now. You can see how soft and tender it looks. When you hold it between your fingers, you can see how it just smashes into a paste. So that's what happens when you soak your Ukwa overnight. It cooks very quickly without potash. So I'll be adding on the other ingredients now. I've been able to put together some ingredients while the Ukwa was cooking. And for African breadfruit or Ukwa porridge, we'll be needing some corn kernels, some ogiri, otherwise known as fermented locust beans, some dried fish already washed. We need some crushed scotch bonnet peppers, some palm oil or red oil, and some salt. We'll be needing some African eggplant leaves. You can actually substitute this for bitter leaf. A few leaves will do, like 4 or 5 bitter leaves will do. But I don't want the excessive bitterness from the bitter leaves. That's why I'm using the African eggplant leaves, otherwise known as akwụkwọ añara. So that's what I'm using. It's not too bitter. I'll be putting it just at the tail end to garnish it before I serve. So the first thing that goes into your okwa that has already been softened is the corn kernels. As you can see, this has already been pre-cooked, and I'll be adding it to the okwa right now. Add on your corn kernels and then you stir. Then the next thing that will be going in will be some ogiri. So I'll be adding on some ogiri right now. So that is just enough. Usually I like to put it by the side of the pot. I'm going to be smashing this against the wall of the pot, as you can see. And I'll blend it into the okwa as a whole. So the next thing that goes in at this point is your dry fish. The dry fish goes in, and then your crushed peppers, it goes in. And I'll be adding on the red oil, just enough to give it a good coloring. I'm going to stir. Then I'll be adding on some salt. So I'm going to cover this, and just right before it gets ready, I'll be adding on the African eggplant leaves. So I'll cover this and let it cook through. So the last thing that goes in will be the African eggplant leaves. So you throw it into the pot and you stir. You let this sit for just a few seconds, then we'll be serving. I'll show you how I serve this delicious porridge. So this is exactly how I will serve my African breadfruit porridge or okwa. I hope you give this recipe a go and let us know what your take is on it. Please, if you have not subscribed, don't forget to do so by clicking on the red button towards the end of the video. Thank you.